Welcome to another fun-filled edition of Second City Sports on a Bears Victory Monday. It's been a while since we said that. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Mr. McKinney McGee, which is she. I am Sidney Brownhead. That's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can find McKinney McGee on the Twitter, X, McKinney again, IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And while you're at it, please subscribe to our podcast at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please give War Media a follow at WAR Media on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinions during our 2-hour extravaganza we call Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always find us at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and don't do something dumb, silly foolishness, I've given Lakina full power to give you fools to be a beer boot.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and toodles.
But before we begin, we must remind you, you can also catch Sports Zone Chicago now available on Roku TV. That's right. So celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap on that sports folder and download that Sports Zone Chicago app. If you don't have a Roku television, but you have some handheld devices laying around, iPhone, iPad, iTouch, your Chromebook, or your PC, or maybe a BlackBerry, those still exist. Just make sure you hit up the Google Play Store, download that Roku TV app, and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Live and on demand.
Anytime, anywhere.
And you know we will provide.
And we will provide this Monday here on the Monday edition of Second City Sports. Of course, we'll talk some Bears and NFL, the rest of the Week 14 slate, including studs and duds. The first in-season tournament champion has been crowned, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers. They pull away from the Pacers over the weekend. Some college hoops. We got a double dose of Old School TV Monday, and Shohei got his Monday. We'll talk about that too. Another baseball move potential, that could be official as well. But first,
it's the details that catch the Bears.
Fields, tough throw, contested attempt, and Cole Kmet beats Alex Anzalone for the catch and first down. And he got the jump. It's a free play. Fields for more. Got him! Touchdown! Bears lead!
The safety come down here, so you know you've got one-on-one with Moore on the bottom of the screen. Justin Fields reads it perfectly. Watch this into the boundary right here. He sees that one-on-one.
The left in that unbalanced look. Oh, a fumble on the snap, loose on the deck. Bears are claiming they've got it, and it is ruled Chicago football. Fields rolling out. Justin Fields. His eyes are on the end zone. He's in. Touchdown Bears. Goff under pressure, and he's wrapped up and brought down. It is Gervon Dexter Sr. It is the first NFL sack for the rookie out of Florida.
Of Reynolds there to keep it away from Brisker. Beautifully done.
Goff under pressure, and Montez Sweat refused to let go. He gets the sack. And they got 7 guys back, about 20 yards away or more. Goff hit as he delivers into the arms of Edmonds. one step closer to sealing the deal.
And those highlights are from the Big Fox Network. That was our own Chicago Bulls TV play-by-play guy Adam Me with the call, and 3-time Super Bowl champ Mark Schlepp with the analysts, as well as the Bears. I guess you could say dominate the league, the division leading, I should say, Lions, and 28-13, and you saw that free play on 4th and 13. I don't know. I guess maybe Fields or Eberflus saw something that I guess the rest of us didn't. He threw for 220 yards. I'm talking about Fields and a TD. He was also the leading rusher for 58 yards. I got a bone to pick about that in a second. I mean, the defense was really solid. I mean, Jalen Johnson had my screen went blank for a second. Jaquan Brisker, I should say, had 13 solo tackles. I think that's the most in like about 5 or 6 years by a Bears defender. Montez Sweat made some big stops and tackles, and they had a couple of turnovers or whatever. I'll let you go first, Sid, because I'm already seeing like some meatball Bears fans all over the place saying, "Hey, we can win now, we can win the division." Slow down, but I'll let you have the floor on this one first, Sid.
The first drive of the game, Lakina, I loved it. The Bears were creative of offense. They actually executed, and they made the Detroit Lions defense stand on its heels. Now, the play call, which got their first touchdown in the game with DJ Moore and a wide receiver reverse, Lakina, we've been asking for it on and off these mics on the show all year. We finally got it revealed yesterday, I should say. And the Bears were very creative. Now, you knew Detroit was going to make a run. They did toward the end of that first half. And I don't know if you caught that Fox halftime show, but I thought that Rob Gronkowski made a great point, how the Lions got back in the game. We talked about this in our preview segment on our show last Friday. Detroit had been known to get off to slow starts, with the exception of their last game before yesterday against the Saints when they jumped out to a 21-0 lead. Gronkowski said the Lions were running the ball. You saw that with Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, David Montgomery wasn't a non-factor in yesterday's game, but Jahmyr Gibbs helped jumpstart that comeback for Detroit, running the ball very well. As you mentioned, the Bears defense did step up. Jared Goff, just like in the first meeting 3 weeks ago, he was a non-factor against the Bears. The Bears offense was on point yesterday, especially during the first couple of series of the game. After the Lions took the lead, the Bears said, "No way, we're going to get back in the game and get back to what we know, what we do best," and that was run the football. As you mentioned, with that free play that they had, Aiden Hutchinson did something dumb, jumped off sides, and Fields recognized it was a free play. DJ Moore was wide open as the day was long, and they got the Bears back on track offensively. I thought that was the turning point of the game yesterday. First of all, it was a 4th and 13 play, and I said to myself on that TV, watching it on TV, what the hell the Bears are doing on 4th and 13 going for it? It just didn't make any sense, but hey, the Lions did something stupid. The Bears took advantage of it, and the way they went in that fourth quarter there, the highlight that replay when Fields scored the second touchdown, I knew the Bears was going to win it right there. Now, Fields did make a couple of minor mistakes, but I still thought that he played a very good game yesterday. They got DJ Moore involved in that second half. Cole Kmet, we have a Pro Bowl tight end. I just need the Bears to run the ball with their running backs a little bit more consistently. Outside of that, you mentioned the defense. They played well, and they did what they had to do. So the Bears did earn this victory yesterday.
Okay, first off, okay, yeah, that was the Bears' first win off a bye since 2009. So, okay, great. I guess they were due for that one. Second of all, I mean, that little free play. I don't know who that was. I don't know if that was Sutton or Branch. I don't know who was supposed to have been, or Gill. Yeah, I don't know who was supposed to have been guarding DJ Moore. I don't know why they left him wide open like that. That was just a dumb move by the defense. I don't know what the heck was happening there. Now, again, there were a couple of times when Fields got a couple of hits. You can tell that shoulder was starting to bother him. That I'm like, me and Christine, our girl KXRB's Christine Manica, we both been saying, look, okay, fine. You want to, do the whole rushing thing. Do the running. I think that's probably what the most. He got almost like 58 rushing yards. I'm talking about Fields did against the Lions. I think that's the third time he has gotten at least 50 rushing yards against the Lions. So that's the third time he's done that. So that's more than any other opponent. So go figure with that one. But I mean, okay, look, the Bears. Okay, yeah, it was a good team win yesterday. They have one of these in every year. Okay, you know what? Yeah, Fields did fine. Okay, whatever. The defense was solid. Okay, fine, whatever. But for me, I think, we know that Detroit is not really, they're 9-3, but they're probably like the most flawed 9-3 team out among all division leaders right now, especially in the NFC. Okay, great. But here's the thing, though. For me, let's do this consistently. It has a defense. Look, like I said, we talked about Brisker. We talked about Johnson. A couple other defensive guys actually did well yesterday. Okay, great. I'm not gonna sit here and say, look, because like I said, I'm seeing a lot of Bears. Some, not all, but some of these Bears fans. Great Bragg Jr. being one on CHGO. Basically, the Bears can run the table. Well, let's slow down here. You're gonna be we'll get to. They're gonna be facing a team that's actually been playing pretty well lately with a quarterback that literally just got off his couch. We'll get to him after the break. But yeah, look, Montez Sweat made a couple of nice, key tackles and such. Okay, great. Let's do this consistently before we start. Because I heard Ryan Poles, the GM, said on ESPN 1000. He said, "Look, we're one step close to being elite. Let's get to 500 first before we talk about being elite. Now, okay? You've made but let's wait until at least get to 500 before you talk about one to being elite. Okay? There are different steps here. Let's not go from step 1 all the way to step 100. Or step 10 to step 90 or whatever. Let's take it step by step. Get to 500 first, then we can say you're being elite. That's all I got to say.
You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago's Second City Sports. I'm Sid. That's Lakina on the hashtag Bears victory Monday as the Bears defeated the Detroit Lions yesterday on the Lakefront by the score of 28-13. We're discussing it here with you. If you have any questions or comments for us, just hop on Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. Lakina, a couple things here. One on Justin Fields. We talked about this since he came back from his injury a couple of weeks ago. He's starting to slide, Lakina. As soon as he get in the open field, he's starting to slide and play it safe. We've been asking him to do that for the past 2 years, and at least he learned that. Number 2, I know he's not going to play perfect all the time, but you notice most of the time yesterday, he's starting to get the ball out quicker. I know it was a couple of times that he should have taken a sack and especially late in that first half, but he's starting to learn how to do that. He just needs to do that more consistently, get the ball out quicker. He's learning how to do that. And he's learning how to slide instead of taking those extra hits like he's been doing his whole Bears career. A couple of those runs, especially yesterday in that first drive, when he slid, I said this out loud. If that was last year, he would have tried to outrun the whole secondary for the touchdown. It probably would have hurt himself even more. So he is starting to learn. I know we wanted to see stuff happen overnight, but it's going to take time. I know some folks don't want to hear it, but that's going to take time. Number 2, about running the table. I told you, Lakina, last week, if this Bears coaching staff, and this win is counting towards from yesterday counts, if this Bears coaching staff wins 3 or more games, they're back, minus Luketzky. If they win 2 or less, they're gone. Now, can they run the table? Yes, they can. But next week is going to be a much more tougher challenge than people realize. We'll get to that on our next episode on Friday. But can they run the table? Yes. And the way that they played yesterday, they have a chance in every last one of these 4 games remaining. Now, I'm still going to sit here and say they're not going to run the table because that Cleveland team, as you talked about, we'll get to more on the other side. That is a little bit more tougher than what people think. Okay. Then, of course, you got Arizona, Atlanta, and Green Bay to finish up after next week. So, technically, they do have a chance, but I think it's going to be much tougher than Bears fans realize. Just get ready because it could be a scare next week.
Well, I wouldn't say a scare, but, here's the thing. With this whole, okay, I'll start with Fields first, and we'll go to break. Look, the Fields stuff. I mean, look, all it takes is one bad hit, to the shoulder and to the knee, and he's done. Yes, he's learned how to slide or whatever, but look, they're not calling these late hits on him, so I don't know why they're not. But you tell us. But look, he's playing better. Look, I don't want. Look, you've said about Josh Allen, multiple times. You don't want him to be the leading rusher for the Bills. I don't want Justin Fields to be the leading rusher for the Bears. I'm sorry, I can't. We have actually a couple of pretty good runners. Okay, 2. Okay, look, Cole Kmet's look good. Look, let's do this consistently against. Look, we know the secondary for the Lions are nothing to write home about. You're going to be facing a Pro Bowler, multi-Pro Bowler next week, so you're going to have a tough time with that. So look, they could it go 2-2 in these next 4? Fine. I can see them going 0-4 too, because you know what? There are a couple of those teams that you thought that maybe they may blow out are actually pretty solid. They got some pretty solid guys there. So for people that want to say they're gonna go 4-0, look, I think you should be watching the rest of the NFL. But we'll talk more about that later on after the break, because we got to because we're up against it. But we'll talk to the rest of the games here, and of course the refereeing. Some people are saying that maybe that cost maybe a team a game. I don't know, but we'll talk about that also too. Some upsets and a very probably an ugly game that probably makes those that probably set ball back another 50 years.
Another paint dry game.
Literally. Lakita McGee, City Brown, Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. More NFL talk, Clean Does coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on this hashtag Bears Victory Monday, baby. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can find my Keenan McGee on the Twitter, X at Keenan_again, IG.
We are still taking your Bears questions or comments following their 28-13 win over the Detroit Lions from the Lakefront yesterday. So If you have any questions or comments regarding the Bears game or any other action as we go around the league, you can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago YouTube. Type in those questions or comments to the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you.
All right, Sid. So let's play this clip real quick about with Mr. Eberflus yesterday after yesterday's win.
You're on a win streak now for the first time since you got here. You just beat a team that came back to beat you 2 weeks ago. Do you have a hope that this could be a springboard? It's a win, but you hope it might carry a little more than a win. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. It's been a long time coming. You beat to win 2 in a row, and it's 2 division opponents, which is big. And the guys are super excited, but we could feel this coming. With the improvement was happening, over time. And I just kept telling them, if you keep doing right, it's going to be right. And good things are going to happen. And 2 most important things is the ball and the fourth quarter finish. And the guys always stayed together. There was never a point where, the morale was bad or the guys, didn't have that. And I told them that in the room. I said, I appreciate their leadership because they hung together through adversity. And, football's tough. It's hard to win, so it's really good by them. It's hanging together.
All right, and that was Coach Eberflus after yesterday's win. I mean, look, keep it up. That's all I can say. I mean, look, do this against Cleveland next week, then maybe I'll take it seriously. Because, right now, okay, yeah, you beat your 2 divisional opponents. Okay. All right, do it consistently, then, people will take you seriously. Now, let's talk about the rest of the other week 14 slate. And, it's something that, shout out to our buddy Spiro Ditas, who had the call of this game here. It actually ended up being one of the games of the week here as Tampa held off Atlanta 29-25. Both are now 6-7 in the NFC South. Baker Mayfield threw for 144 yards and 2 TDs. It was Rachaad White, the rookie running back, who rushed for 102 yards. Of course, Mike Evans had a solid, showing. They're not his best showing, but Chris Godwin, Rachaad White also had a TD catch. So that was the part of that there. On the flip side, though, Desmond Ridder threw for 347 yards at TD, but also interception. So this was a back and forth game between both these teams. And but Tampa, to their credit, were able to make just a big plays to end the game.
Couple of key plays from that game yesterday. One, Mike Evans, as you mentioned, he had a touchdown which was overturned. I thought that was a bad call. We'll get into more officiating issues later on in this segment. But I thought that Mike Evans had a touchdown there late in the game, and the referee / replay took it away from him. So I thought that was a bad call. Number 2, with the Atlanta Falcons on their last drive, Desmond Ridder threw the ball in the air, and Drake London, who had 10 catches and 172 yards on the day, he caught the ball, but he was standing at the 5-yard line. I thought the point, Lakina, was to get the ball into the end zone at the end of the game because the Falcons did not have any timeouts. Your best receiver caught the ball, but he was standing at the damn 5-yard line. What the hell was that?
Yeah, I don't know what that was. That was a little bit of a, and I saw that catch. Look, I saw that replay there. It looks like maybe, I guess he didn't have full control of the ball. He should have, the second toe was actually out of bounds, so maybe that's probably why they overturned it. But
we're talking about the Mike Evans catch, right?
Oh yeah, and look, I think that was just maybe just couldn't get that second foot down. I think that was a problem there for that one. And shout out to the guys for pointing that out yesterday. And Gene Sarator, he was on a roll yesterday. So we'll get to some of that in a second. But yeah, I mean, look, Tampa, like I said, the defense did just enough plays to win that. To win that game for the Falcons. And it's getting a little crowded there in that division, with the exception of Carolina, obviously. So they're all 6-7 now, and they're going to probably be placing each other, again. So they're all going to be beating each other up to win the division.
Yeah, ugly sight to see from the NFC South. Just like a year ago.
Right, pretty much. Let's go to Cincy and Cincinnati. Despite coming back, coming home after a short week, they pound the Colts. 34-14. Jake Browning threw for 276 yards and 2 TDs. On the flip side, Gardner Minshew had 240 yards, a TD, and an interception. But it was the run. Joe Mixon rushed for 79 yards and a TD, and just a. The Bengals, look, I mean, people thought that maybe they were left for dead after Joe Burrow, got injured, but looks like Brown is doing, is keeping everything on track.
Yeah, could he be Kurt Warner 3.5? I don't know, but as you but as you mentioned, he did the job yesterday. That Cincinnati defense, especially with Henderson on the front line, they stepped up yesterday. You mentioned Gardner Minshew was ineffective. The Colts running game was ineffective. I know that their defense had to scoop and score toward the end of their first half for them to actually tie the game at the break. But Cincinnati came on in that second half. Let's give credit. I meant to do this last week, but he did it again this week with a 54-yard touchdown run. Can we give Chase Brown, the former Illini running back, credit here? Him and Joe makes a great 1-2 tandem in that Bengals backfield.
Yeah, you can tell them, Colts not having Jonathan Taylor, that really hindered them on the running back side. Only 48 rushing yards total. So, yeah, that's pretty bad. Now, staying in Ohio, let's go to Cleveland, where Cleveland, the Bears' next opponent, they go to 8-5, beating the Jags 31-17. Joe Flacco, who was literally just on his couch just about a month ago, has now thrown for 311 yards and 3 TDs and an interception. On the flip side, for Trevor Lawrence, 257 yards, 3 TDs, but also 3 interceptions. It was really the defense for the Browns that, they've been, keeping them in games all season long. And, that it was the same here it was the same here yesterday. And look, Martin Emerson Jr. had 2 of those interceptions. So, Greg Newsome had the other interception. Myles Garrett made some stops. He didn't have a reception, but he, was a big factor in the game too. So that Cleveland defense is, probably, one of the tops in the league.
Yeah, you mentioned that Emerson kid. I did watch that game yesterday, and he had a great game, especially in that first half with those 2 picks. You talk about Myles Garrett, but it's the other guys that on that defense that stepped up big yesterday. And also on the flip side, on the offensively, it was all about the tight ends. Evan Ingram for Jacksonville, he had 11 catches for 95 yards and 2 scores. David Njoku, who's on my fantasy team, by the way, and did a hell of a job on my team yesterday. He had 6 catches for 87 yards, but not 1, but 2 touchdowns. And clearly his best game of the year.
Yeah, that was, and then also to Cleveland, like I said, 8-5, right there in the thick of it in the NFC, in the AFC wild card. So, nice win by them. As for the Jags, I mean, things are starting to kind of fall off a little bit. For them, a couple of bad losses in a row. So we'll see. Both against AFC North teams, oddly enough, but we'll see what happens with them. Now, let's go to Jersey and the Jets. The Jets, pound the Texans 30-6. Zach Wilson looked like Joe Montana for a second, for a game here, at least 301 yards passing and 2 TDs. Breece Hall had 40 rushing yards. It was really a total team effort there. Garrett Wilson 108 receiving yards. Hall actually had a better showing on the receiving side. They played a little receiver there. He had a TD catch. On the flip side for the Texans, of course, unfortunately, C.J. Stroud had to leave the game with a concussion. 91, only threw for 91 yards and in there. So it was definitely a struggle for that Texans squad. And but look, the Jets, I mean, look, they're 5-8. Look, I'm not gonna say they're gonna end up making a push for that AFC wild card, but this is actually the best they played since Rodgers got hurt.
Yeah, that defense, we talked about it before the season started. That Jets defense was a top 10 defense in the league, and they proved that yesterday. The Houston Texans on the flip side, even before CJ Stroud was knocked out of the game, they couldn't get anything going offensively, neither the run nor the pass. I know Devin Singletary for the Texans had 65 yards rushing in their only touchdown in the second half. But you can tell the Jets team, especially defensively, they were motivated from start to finish. Zach Wilson had to have a game like this, and he earned it yesterday. Now, will the Jets run the table? No, they got a tough game down in Miami next week. I don't see them winning that one, but they did it in front of a half-filled stadium, and this win for the Jets is more about pride at this point.
Yep. So, I mean, I think the Jets could probably maybe, make it, interesting for some teams as running opponents. So, we'll see what happens there. As the Second City Sports on Chicago, like Keenan McGee, sneaking around with you as we're recapping the rest of the Week 14 slate in the NFL. Probably one of the games of the day yesterday was the Ravens. The Ravens needing a Tylen Wallace punt return to beat the Rams 37-31 in a very soggy Baltimore. There was a lot of rain there in that area, but Lamar Jackson threw 316 yards and 3 TDs. On the flip side, Matt Stafford had three TDs as well and 294 yards. Kyron Williams continues to rush the ball very well for the Rams, 114 rushing yards there. Odell Beckham Jr. had a TD, so did Isaiah Likely had a TD. Zay Flowers had each TD catch as well. Cooper Kupp, did his thing, 115 receiving yards and a TD for the Rams. Very exciting game, but it was a big punt return, late by, like I said, by Tyler Wallace that kept the Ravens' hopes for number one seed in the AFC alive.
Yeah, the Rams did everything but win this game. As we said all season long, Lakina, the Rams' formula is to run the ball, take the pressure off the Matthew Stafford, and play well defensively. They did that through 3.5 quarters, but they just couldn't seal the deal. You mentioned Kyron Williams for the Rams, 25 carries, 114 yards. He did not score, but the Rams, they were right there, but it's the difference between experienced teams and young teams. Experienced teams know what to do down the stretch. They know how to make the key plays, whether it's on offense and defense. The Ravens did that yesterday, and the Rams did not. And so, as you mentioned, the Ravens improved their record to 10-3. The Rams are 6-7 in the thick of the NFC wildcard race. I think ultimately at the end here, the Rams will not make the playoffs, and they can look at games like this from yesterday and why they won't be in the playoffs this year.
They've had a couple of games like this year, so you're thinking to yourself, you're a Rams fan if they do end up missing the playoffs. Last game of the noon slate. We don't have to spend too much on this game. 28-6, the Saints beat the Panthers. No, I'm saying, look, it was all Saints pretty much. Derek Carr threw for 119 yards, 2 TDs. Not his best showing, but they really didn't have to do too much in this game. Alvin Kamara had a rushing TD. Chris Olave had a TD, but I think he had to leave the game. Jimmy Graham, it's all a little bit of the Jimmy Graham of old. He had a TD catch as well. So again, Adam Thielen, losing up for 74 receiving yards, led the Panthers there. But it was pretty much all Saints.
I turned that game off after the first half. That was all I needed to see. Okay, the Saints scored 21 of the 28 points offensively. I get it. Shout out to DeMarco Jackson, who scored on that punt block in that second half for a touchdown. But the Saints, even though they're 6-7, tied with Tampa Bay in the NFC South Division race, they still have problems offensively. I don't know if it's going to turn around anytime soon.
No, I don't think so. And like I said, there's a lot of upheaval down there in Charlotte, but the Saints keeping their at the very least, them, like I said, the Falcons and the Bucks are now all 6-7, so they're all going to be playing each other. So it could come down to maybe a last couple of games of the season there. Now, off to the 3:00 games. Well, to go get this one out the way, because if you took the under, I should say, in the Vikings Raiders game, you probably won pretty well. 3-0. No, that was not the Twins being the new A's franchise over there in Vegas. They'll be starting to play next year, but Nick Mullins, came in really for Josh Dobbs. Didn't do too much on the offensive side. Aiden O'Connell had his struggles. He was sacked 4 times. Dobbs was sacked 5 times. This was just talk about. Look, I get teased about low scoring games, but this is actually the lowest scored game played indoors or with the roof closed in NFL history. And I think the previous low was all the way back to the old Astrodome, the old Houston Oilers, as they beat the Steelers 6-0 back in 1980. And also at the Superdome, the Saints beat the Rams 6-0, and at the Hoosier Dome, the Colts beat the Jets 87-6-0. So this is definitely up there with probably one of the lowest scores. But at least those were entertaining. This one was just a brutal game to watch. So for those who actually watched this game, I commend you.
The only clips I saw this game was I had NFL Red Zone on the big screen. That's all I need to see. But what do the Raiders, Vikings, Texans, and Jets all have in common, Lakina? I heard this yesterday.
No, I don't know what.
Those 2 games were scoreless after half. The last time that occurrence happened, October of 1988, where were 2 games that were scoreless tied, a scoreless tie at halftime. Go figure.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I don't. Our buddy Don Butcher, who works at Fox 5 in Minneapolis, even she was at the game in Vegas, and she was probably. I'm surprised she didn't fall asleep, and a few others were there too, because it was literally like watching paint dry. I mean, it was just a brutal game to
Yeah.
watch. So I don't know. All right. Let's go to a little more exciting game yesterday in the 3 o'clock window here. You got the 49ers beat the Seahawks, and this is by the Seahawks using basically the same play that they used. They scored a touchdown. Basically stayed the same thing they did last year. Not during their Thanksgiving meeting, but their last meeting before that. But the 49ers adjusted to win this game 28-16. Brock Purdy had 368 yards and 2 TDs. Christian McCaffrey 145 yards. Debo Samuel had 149 yards and a TD. Brandon Ayuk kicked in 126 receiving yards as well. On the flip side, though, Drew Lock was okay. 269 yards, 2 TDs, but also 2 interceptions. Not a lot of rushing was a really big factor there. Only 70 rushing yards total for the Seahawks. Tyler Lockett had 89 receiving yards. DK Metcalf had TD catch, but it was all. But after, I guess you could say after, I think the Seahawks were leading after the first quarter, but it was all 49ers after that.
Yeah, 49ers linebacker Fred Warner and Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf, who scored the first touchdown of the game for the Seahawks, decided to get a little tussle. Fred Warner got into DK's head. DK Metcalf decided to grab Fred Warner's helmet and shove him back like 5 steps, and DK Metcalf gets ejected doing something stupid. But besides that, the 49ers took the Seahawks' best shot early. Give the Seahawks credit. I did watch the majority of this game live via this computer screen yesterday. And give the Seahawks credit. They stayed in it, but there was too much talent on the other side of the ball for the 49ers. You mentioned Christian McCaffrey, 145 yards rushing. Debo Samuel was the man yesterday. He was the man also on my fantasy team. 2 touchdowns and all, 1 receiving, 1 rushing. And you can tell that the 49ers are on a roll right now. I think they're now 4-0 since their bye week, Lakina, if I have my math correct. So this team is rolling right now. And if you're the other teams in the NFC, I know the NFL is a week-to-week league, but as of right now, if you the rest of the field in the NFC, I do not want to play the 49ers in the playoffs right now. This team is better than what they were last year.
Oh, yeah, they definitely have bumped it up. And look, they've all been – you can tell that the 49ers are on a mission, especially after what happened last year in the NFC title game against the Eagles. We'll talk about them in a second. But, this is probably one of the teams – I don't want to say that they're the team to beat, but they're definitely, up there in that favorite category. It's going to be interesting to see if they can keep it up. They could definitely clinch that number 1 spot in the NFC. So, because they got a lot of the tiebreakers. So, we'll see what happens there. Now, the Broncos beat the Chargers 24-7. Russell Wilson threw for 224 yards and 2 TDs. Javonte Williams has 66 rushing yards for the Broncos. As for the Chargers, unfortunately, Justin Herbert got hurt had a fractured finger. He won't play in their Thursday night game. Easton Stick, who is a rookie, threw for 179 yards in his debut, but couldn't really do too much. Austin Eckler rushed for 51 yards and the lone TD for the Chargers. If Brandon Staley doesn't have his pink slip, going to get his pink slip and his link card at the end of the season, I don't know what's going on over there with the Chargers. Now, so the Broncos, they're still right there at 7-6. Still right there in that hunt for that wild card spot in the AFC.
What has been the formula for the Broncos winning these games of late? Running the ball very well, especially with Javonte Williams and playing strong defense. The defense got after Justin Herbert yesterday, and which set up the short field for the offense. You mentioned Russell Wilson. He didn't have to do too much. He did what he had to do with those 2 touchdown passes. Did you check out that catch, that one-handed catch by Courtland Sutton? That was sensational.
Gotta be some points on my fantasy team. So I was very happy with that. Yeah, I was very happy for that catch because I had lost a tough one last week, but I think it looks like I'm gonna win this week. But that was a really great catch, and he's been playing very well too, Mr. Sutton. So been a very solid win for the Broncos, who you thought that after giving up 57 points to Miami early in the season, You look at them now, you think, oh, well, it's a totally different team. So, yeah, they're starting to figure out over there in the Mile High. And, they're right there in the AFC wild card picture now. Probably the game, saying the AFC, this is on CBS. This was the game of the week. The Bills beat the Chiefs 20-17, and probably one of the strangest games you'll probably see this season. Josh Allen threw for 283 yards, a TD and an interception. Pat Mahomes threw 71 yards, a TD and an interception as well. But it was really the defenses for each of the teams that did well. Now, okay, let me set this up. This is right near the end of the game. A great play, Mahomes pass to Kelsey, touchdown. Chiefs win, right? Not so fast. Kadarius Toney was offsides. And I know Chiefs fans don't want to hear it, but if you saw, look, there have been screenshots all over the place. Tony was well offside. So as great as a play as that was, and I know Mahomes went nuts after the game, like literally, and he had a little bit of something to say after the game as well. Andy Reid too. But they made the right call. Yes, there have been some bad calls with the refereeing. We'll talk about that in our Suds and Duds in a couple of minutes, but they actually got it right. And to the Bills' credit, they're a very dangerous 7-6 team. So where do you see this sitting? I'll let you have the floor on this.
The referees did get that call correct. The reason why Kansas City was Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, both of them were upset yesterday. Two reasons. One, they didn't get the call in their favor. This is not the NBA, so you're not gonna get the calls going in your favor. So that's number one. Number two, I heard someone say this on television last night. When you are upset like the Chiefs were last night, there's usually multiple reasons why you're upset like they are. The last 6 games, Kansas City's offense has averaged a total of 19.3 points per game. That's not going to get it done. They're running attack. I know Isaiah Pacheco was out yesterday, but your running attack has been non-existent for the last few weeks. And number 3, your defense which has been carrying the team all year. When your defense plays the way they play and your offense is inconsistent, usually your defense breaks. And we saw that to a certain extent yesterday. But with the Chiefs being frustrated, it's a combination of what happened at the end of the game and the way the offense has been playing inconsistently. The defense, at some point, those players on that side of the ball are going to get frustrated. They won't say it publicly because Andy Reid's not going to let that happen. But it's human nature to be frustrated, and the Chiefs are frustrated for a multitude of reasons yesterday. Most of that they can point to themselves for.
Yeah, and I know because I'm already saw some teams where if Tom Brady would have done that, everybody would be yelling. Okay, let's remember Brady never did that, at least not to that extent. He was very subtle, with his critiques, and he did it behind closed doors. He didn't go around say, "Oh, well, this and this and this." And Belichick didn't even do that. Hasn't done that either. So I think for people to try to compare Mahomes to Brady in this sense, you're like, okay, come on, guys, let's look. His ex-wife did more of the critiquing than he ever did. So let's maybe that's why we're not married anymore. But again, that's another conversation. But yeah, I mean, look, give the Bills credit. The defense, did it. Look, they did what they're supposed to do. They kept, and also I think another thing. After those two TDs, to their credit, though, they made some big defensive plays. They made some stops. They sacked Mahomes a couple of times. They kept the Chiefs to field goals. Yes, they gave up a couple of big plays, but they did just to win that game, especially since after Micah Hyde got hurt, with the stinger. So to their credit, the Bills actually been playing very good lately. So they might be able to sneak into the playoffs. I'm not saying that they that they will, but they're a pretty dangerous team right now.
Yep, and they'll have a tough home game next week against their next opponent, which we'll talk about right now for Sunday Night Football. The Philadelphia Eagles went down to Big D and got hammered again. The Dallas Cowboys defeated the Philadelphia Eagles to improve their record to 7-0 at home, 33-13. Dak Prescott, 271 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard, 16 carries for 59 yards for Dallas. A.J. Brown, a couple of fumbles, 9 catches for 94 yards. But it was Aubrey, their rookie kicker, Lakino, 4 field goals and 2 extra points, including a career-long 60-yard field goal in that first half.
Yeah, those field goals, not counting either the extra point, but the field goals total 214 yards. That's a little over 53 yards per kick. That's the longest average length of a kicker's made field goals in a game in NFL history. With the minimum of the 4 being made. The Eagles also make history for the wrong reasons. They're the first team in NFL history to have they got 10 wins, and no more than a loss prior. But then they went on to lose back-to-back games by 20 plus points. So there's something to miss over there in Philadelphia, and I think that's going to be something that the Eagles fans are going to have to figure that out. Hopefully, Nick Sirianni and the rest of that group. I mean, Jalen Hurts threw for 197 yards. That they're not scoring, and the defense will get up too many big plays. There's a little bit of infighting. Some infighting going on. A lot of drop balls. So. Okay, look, I'm not going to take anything away from Dallas. They're now tied right now. They got the little bit of tiebreaker. They're both at 10-3. But for me, I think, look, let's see how the rest of this goes, because I'm a little worried about the Eagles now. The Dallas, look, gave them all the credit in the world. Stephon Gilmore had nine solo tackles. Was a little bit of the old Stephon Gilmore from New England. We're seeing a little bit of that guy. They're finally starting to figure out with that defense from Mike McCarthy. So for me, I think I still say the 49ers are a favorite in the NFC, but the Dallas, Dak, has played very well lately. Tony Pollard's looked really good. The defense has been very solid. So, I'm right. I'm not in the camp of, Dallas can win the whole thing, but they're definitely, putting themselves, if they can keep winning.
Let's not forget to CD Lamb did not have his greatest game last night either. 6 catches for 71 yards. He did have that first quarter touchdown. But Dallas, even though the scoreboard would say, oh, they were dominant, they weren't really as dominant as if you really look into the numbers.
Right.
They did what they have to do to win the game. They finally beat a team that was way over 500. Philadelphia shot themselves in the foot with those 3 turnovers. Dak Prescott, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great either. He didn't turn the ball over. So Dallas did what they had to do not to wreck the car off the road.
Yeah, remember, Dak also had a fumble loss himself, and they had some fumbles too, but they were able to recover it. So that was probably the difference in that game. It wasn't like I said, it wasn't that Dallas was dominant. It was just that, look, they did what they had to do, and the Eagles couldn't. So that was a whole thing there. Now, real quick, your studs and duds.
All right, my studs are as follows. I'll give one to DJ Moore of the Chicago Bears, 6 catches for 68 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving as the Bears beat the Lions 28-13. Emerson, that defensive back for Cleveland, 2 interceptions as the Browns hauled off the Jaguars 31-27. And my guy, Deebo Samuel, 7 catches for 149 yards, 1 receiving touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown as the 49ers beat the Seahawks 28-16.
I will stay with the 49ers for my first stud and give it to Christian McCaffrey. 127 yards, as I said, and also, I think, about 50 receiving yards as well. Another great showing there. Like I said, Tylan Wallace, Duchesne for the Ravens. He's a regular kick returner. He got hurt, so Tylan Wallace had to step in and had a walk-off 76-yard punt return. So a big win. Got the big Ravens a really big win, and they're in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed. My other studs real quick. I'll say Buffalo, the defense, especially for doing just to win that game against the Chiefs. And I'll give it to Dallas. No, I'll give it to Denver. Denver, like I said, they've come a long way from that week before loss to the Dolphins, where they got their butts kicked, and now they're at 7-6. They're right there in the AFC North, and I'll even do a double one. I'll give a double to the Cleveland and Cincinnati for staying right there, despite all their major injuries on the quarterback side.
All right, my 3 duds quickly. The Atlanta Falcons quarterback Desmond Ridder. Hail Mary the ball's supposed to land in the end zone, not at the 5-yard line. Number 2, my second dud is the Detroit Lions jumping outside, giving Fields that free play, which ended up as a touchdown catch to DJ Moore. And my third dud is the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles, as we called them on the show. That was a pathetic performance yesterday, even before the injury to Justin Herbert.
Okay, so I'll let you have the Chargers. That's never going to be my dud. But like I said, I'll say the Vikings and the Raiders just because the game was a dud in general. I felt I felt bad for Kevin Kruger and Mark Sanchez for having to call that game. Look, they kept it exciting. We know how much energy Mark Sanchez has, so that he was able to kind of keep that energy up for the rest of us, to watch that game. Philadelphia, what's going on? I don't know what's going on there. Is it mental? Is it physical? Is it injuries? I don't know. Hopefully, we can figure it out. And I'll say the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, something's amiss over there in KC as well. And I'm wondering, I know some people say, it's Eric Bieniemy, he's not there. Well, the Commanders aren't really setting the world on fire either. So I don't know if it's a personnel or just that Nagy's. There's something that's amiss here with that KC offense.
All right, the two games that will take place tonight on Monday Night Football will air simultaneously at 7:15 p.m. Central Standard Time on ABC and ESPN Plus. Is the Green Bay Packers at the New York Giants. At the same time on ESPN and ESPN Plus, we have the Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins.
All right, yes. First time they're going to be doing simultaneous Monday night football games, and the Manning cast are going to do both. So I want to see how Peyton and Eli do this. Both games going. It's going to be very interesting to see how they do it. So check those games out as well. Should be a couple of good ones. Oh, and we want to give thoughts and prayers go out to Frank Wycheck, who's the former Titan wide receiver who passed away yesterday at the age of 52. Was a cult figure down there in Tennessee. Of course, he was part of the Music City Miracle back in 2000. That was tough news to hear. So maybe they'll play a little inspired today. We'll see. I know they did a ring of honor for him, I think, last year. So hopefully the guys will put an effort against the Dolphins tonight.
Yeah, so peace and love to the Frank Wycheck family and the Tennessee Titans organization from us at Second City Sports and Sports Zone Chicago.
All right, so we're well past the break, so we're gonna make it quick, make it simple. We'll talk some NBA. The Lakers are in season tournament champions! Yay! Won a whole lot more of the NBA. We may do some. We need to cover with maybe some college too as well, but also the old school. Those are old school TV Monday coming up next. Lakina McGee, Steve Brown, 60 Sports on Sports in Chicago. A busy Howard 2 coming up right after this.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean, you're so.
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Move it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on a Monday edition. We're in hour number 2. We're live in the living cover right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow Makita McGee on the Twitter, X, Makita IG.
We have less than 50 minutes left of this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments for us, you can always find us at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. And just a daily reminder, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV.
All right, Sid. Let's talk about Friday's games. Of course, the Bulls. The Bulls beat the Spurs, extending their win streak to 4, and the Spurs losing streak to 16. Early on, that wasn't really going to be the case there, as the Spurs, came out to a roaring start in the first quarter. But to their credit, the Bulls, they settled down. They were able to make a nice run in the third quarter, 35-20, in the third quarter. So that definitely kind of broke the game open there for them. Nice balance scoring. Kobe White once again had 24 points, was also 5 for 7 from 3-point range. That's very important. Vooch had 21. DeMar DeRozan and P. Will also had 21. So a nice effort there. The Bulls were able to overcome that slow start. So, they just up to win that game. They're now 9-14. Sid, you said they were coming to double digits. They almost, they might do that. But, so what do you think about that game on Friday?
I know you said that the Bulls weren't going to go on a 10-game winning streak, but they're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. Oh, I'm sorry. But pardon my John Bon Jovi. But, that victory was huge for the Bulls on last Friday night. Let me tell you something, Lakina, especially the way this Bulls team has started. 9-14 never looked so good as it does right now. And as we talked about during our last couple of shows last week, you can see without Zach LaVine, it gives a chance for the other guys to step up like Vucevic and Kobe White. Patrick Williams has really taken advantage of it. I know they're doing it without Alex Caruso. He's been out the last couple of games. I don't know if he's going to return tonight or not with their game against Milwaukee, but they're getting contributions from other guys too. Julian Phillips, their rookie, starting to play a little bit. And don't forget about Torrey Craig. He was one of the 2 free agents signings that the Bulls had this offseason. He came in with 23 minutes off the bench. He was huge in that fourth quarter with 23. He scored 16 points overall, including 5 or 7 for 3-point range. That's what saved the day for Chicago. I'm not going to say they're going to be a whirlwind in terms of getting to the playoffs. So let's just take it one game at a time. But as we said before, this Bulls team operates better without Zach LaVine. You mentioned 4 of the 5 starters scoring 20 points or more. That's the balanced scoring you need if you're going to succeed on this Bulls team. And let me tell you something right now, whenever Zach LaVine returns from his injury, the Bulls will not have to adjust to his style. He's going to adjust his game to them.
Yeah, that's what probably going to have to do, especially if you want to up his trade value. Now, Wembanyama did get his he had like what 21 and like 20 boards or something like that for them. But so he did get his stats. I know that was Vooch was having a hard time. I think Andre Drummond even put him in a headlock, a couple of times, or almost like give a piggyback ride a couple of times. Well, that was probably the way you could stop him. But the Bulls, look, they were able to overcome that start, and they just enough to win that game. Look, that's all you can ask for, especially the way this team's been playing lately.
Yeah, and as I said before, and I'll say it again, especially with this Bulls team, when you share the ball and move the ball offensively, get people involved, especially with Vucevic, when he has mismatches, you give him the ball in the post. Even if he doesn't have the matchups, you kick it out to your open guys instead of doing this pump faking, forcing the action BS. You'll win your share ball games. And last Friday, they had a team a total of 27 assists. They did get away from that a little bit on Friday. But as I said before, and I'll say it again, if you average over 30 assists as a team, you win in the majority of your ball games.
Absolutely. They got a tough one tonight against Milwaukee, who they actually did beat Milwaukee the last time they played. So we'll see if they can
Without Zach,
start.
of course.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. Maybe the Bucks will get their revenge tonight. Now, the rest of the games, some of the big wins. Dallas got a nice win against Portland. The Clippers, they're starting to get it going a little bit. Behind a 41 from Kawhi. They beat Utah 117-103 on Friday. Now the Clippers, they've been playing pretty well lately. Harden started getting the game shape. Only had 12 points, but you can tell he's starting to kind of lose a little bit of that off-season weight a little bit. There, of course, Kawhi led the way with 41. PG did with 20. For me, I think the Clippers, they're starting to figure it out a little bit with Harden in the lineup. Slowly but surely.
It's all about head coach Jerome Lou giving those veterans to buy into those roles of what you have to do to become a successful team. You know what he did when he coached LeBron James in Cleveland, leading them to that 2016 title over Golden State. But Russell Westbrook, let's not forget here, he's accepted his role and coming off the bench. You mentioned James Harden is adjusting his game to what Kawhi and Paul George want from him. And let's not forget about the other role players as well with Terrence Mann, some of the other young guys. So everybody has to fill in their role and play their part, not get outside themselves. If they can stay together, they'll be okay. And they got to stay healthy, obviously.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key for them. That latter part you said, health is going to be the factor here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sacramento beat Phoenix. I saw a little bit of this game, 114-106, and to the Kings' credit, I mean they've been able to to prove that they're still going to be right there. De'Aaron Fox had 34 points, which was a career high for him. Domantas Sabonis kicked it with 15. But it was really like the bench scoring there. Vazinkanov, if I can say his name right, had 14 points off the bench for the Kings. He's been one of their big guys all year. To shoot those big threes. I think he definitely helped in that game against the Suns.
Yeah, the Suns were without Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant didn't play either. It was Devin Booker and everybody else. But De'Aaron Fox took over in that fourth quarter on Friday, and that's what helped Sacramento overcome that deficit. Actually, they were in control for most of the game. I know Phoenix made a run early in that second half, but Sacramento made their run in the fourth quarter, and they held on for the win. And let's not forget to Malik Monk, who I thought should have been a sixth man of the year last year. He hit a huge shot at the end at that third quarter to give Sacramento that boost to start the fourth quarter. So Sacramento, I know many national pundits talked about them being a hot in the flash team that they took the Warriors to 7 last year. Many people still think they're not going to do anything this year, but I'm still going to take them seriously until further notice.
We'll see if they can keep it up. But like I said, they didn't have the Suns didn't have KD. That was a rest day for him. So I'm wondering, I don't know about the other to give them this win, but look, they did what they could, in that game. So give them credit for that. Now the Nuggets lose to the Rockets 114-106. We saw we talked about the Rockets kind of one of those two up and comers. Fred Van Fleet had 26 points. And so did Jalen Green as well for the Rockets. Now, the Nuggets with Murray is back. He scored 21, so that's not an issue there. But you wonder, what's kind of what's going on. They're down to 14-9. Jokic has been struggling a little bit lately. He was only 9 for 26 from the field, so that might be starting to get a little. I'm not going to say we should be worried about the champs, but they're 14-9 as we're recording this, and might be a little not worried, but you're kind of a little bit concerned. You're just a tad if you're a Nuggets fan.
Yeah, if you're a Nuggets fan, it's more about concern than worry because as long as this team is healthy, it's not too many teams that can beat them at their own game. And those injuries, especially i.e. Jamal Murray, who's been out for the last month or so, as long as they don't have any other injuries, i.e. Jokic and some of the other guys, Aaron Gordon, this Nuggets team will be fine. It's just about them getting their timing back, gelling together, and staying healthy. So I'm not worried if you're a different Nuggets fan. You're concerned? Yes. Worried to the point they're going to lose their top spots in the Western Conference? No. On the flip side, for Houston, you mentioned Fred VanVleet, their free agent signing from Toronto this offseason. Give Ime Udoka, a real head coach over there in Houston, credit for having those young guys motivated and playing well. Now, can they keep this up? We'll see. But the Houston Rockets seem not too many people are paying attention to right now. And Coach Udoka, we all know what he went through with Boston a couple of years ago. We wanted to get into that, but he has that team playing well. It's not an easy win as it was the last couple of years if you played the Rockets. As of right now, it's very different this year.
You just see if they can. We'll see. We'll see how they look. When they come back, tonight. OKC beat Golden State. They needed overtime. 136. 130. 138. 136. I should say. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 30 points. I should say. For the Thunder, Steph Curry had 34 for the Warriors. So. Yeah, this is a very interesting game from start to finish. And if you took the over, you had a nice start to your weekend. Let's see here. Cleveland beat Miami. Boston behind Derek White's 30 points. They edge out the Knicks. We'll pull away from this, I should say, 133, 123. Philadelphia beat Atlanta 125, 114. Yeah, amongst all the games that were on Friday. Now let's go to Vegas for the in-season tournament. Indiana and the Lakers. Although it was close for a little bit, but as it kind of went as I thought it would. The Lakers pulled away from the Pacers. I should say 123, 109. LeBron. Actually, it was KD that led the way. 41 points. Definitely one of his career highs. Had 16, 20 boards, I should say, and 5 assists. LeBron had 24 and 11. He ended up winning MVP, and even he said that it should have been AD's MVP award. The Pacers, to their credit, they got this far. Tyrese Halliburton had 20 points, but didn't really have a lot of help. After that, I mean, I know Obi Top had 13, Miles Turner had 10, but didn't really. And I know that Aaron Nesmith had 15 off the bench, but it wasn't enough for the Pacers. Just too much AD in the Lakers.
Two things about that game in terms of the Pacers. One, they struggled shooting from 3-point range. They shot it at a 24% clip. Number 2, Miles Turner was in foul trouble. I know he eventually fouled out, but he had 3 fouls in that first half. Remember, we talked about this last Friday, Lakina, in their semifinal game against Milwaukee from last Thursday. Miles Turner was dominant from the inside. He was scoring at will. He was defending he was blocking shots, getting those key rebounds. You just see none of that on last Saturday because he was in foul trouble. And like I said, Tyrese Halliburton had a decent game, but he struggled shooting from the 3-point range. He was only 2 of 8, but like you say, he had no help, and it was a miracle that they stayed with the Lakers in that first half. Now, on the flip side for the Lakers, you mentioned about Anthony Davis. He was a little bit gimpy during that game, but he toughed it out with a score, a game high 41. But Austin Reeves, who's really shown improvement over the last year or so, he scored 28 points coming off the bench, including 23 points in that second quarter alone to get the Lakers back into that game. And we talked about this before, Lakina. LeBron and AD both have to stay healthy for this Lakers team to have any type of success, but some of those role players as well, they have to play their part.
Hey, Mickey, what's up? I know he was messaging me earlier to get your comments up and we'll play it for you. So there you go, Mickey. Thanks. Check out tell your friends about our show and support. I mean, well, the Lakers were even worse from 3-point range. They were like 2 for 13 or something like that. So they were even worse.
Yeah, 15%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they were 12 for like 15. So yeah, they were 12 for 13. So yeah, they were even worse for 3-point range. The Pacers, I've said this about them before. They depend on the 3 a little bit too much. So you saw what happened on Saturday. So that's what kind of killed them there in that front. But yeah, I mean, you can tell they were they just wanted the money. You get $500,000 for winning. So everybody's probably
it's $250 if you lose.
I'm sure both teams are probably like, okay, where's our money? So this is more of a money
Jay's
thing.
commented about that after the game. He's like, I know when the money's coming, but some of you young guys on the team don't know when you're going to get your money. He kind of made a comment about them after the game.
I don't know if he knows for sure, but he might know some. He may have an inside track, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, look, if you're the Lakers, you got this under your arsenal. I don't know if you're gonna put that with your other 14, 15 titles, NBA titles, but But look, it's a nice little thing to put on the resume. I don't think LeBron's gonna put on his resume either. I know people are gonna say, "Well, LeBron's now the best because MJ never won MC." Okay, let's not start that, please. Oh God,
Thank you. I don't want to hear it either.
Yeah,
and don't drag the late great Kobe Bryant's name into this either.
Yeah, I know. Oh God, I mean, let's stop. Let's not start this. Oh well, Bird didn't win. Oh God, Magic didn't win. Okay, stop. Can we stop this? Please stop it. But look, if you're the Lakers, look, you can keep it in your arsenal. But look, even LeBron says it's only December. They still got a long ways to go. They get they get a couple. They get a night off, to kind of rest a little bit. But now they got to get back at it. And look, if you're the Lakers, you got to be feeling pretty good. Saying, hey, look, you can do this. You can do this. So look, I'm not gonna say they're gonna win the title, but this proves that they can go to the promised land, in season promised land, I guess, and they're capable of doing that. So a great team effort and a great team win. And look, if you're Darvin Ham, this might be something that might actually help your confidence as well.
Yeah, and also too, we said this last week on our shows. For the young teams like the Pacers and the Pelicans before they lost to the Lakers last Thursday in the semifinal, you should use this as a boost to help your team's confidence to develop some consistency. And like you said, these games, with the exception of Saturday, because that game does not count in the standings. But you will use this as a stepping stone to have a great season, especially with those young teams like Indiana. Let's be honest, Lakina, has Indiana been on TNT this year? I don't think so.
Maybe once. I think that's about it.
Maybe once. So the teams like that in New Orleans, they can use this as a stepping stone. Say, hey, check us out. We all know about the big teams with the Lakers, Celtics, and Bucks and all that, but some of those young teams like the Pelicans and the Pacers could benefit from this as they use this as a stepping stone to having a great year. Use this as momentum to perhaps get in the playoffs. And Tyrese Halliburton individually, he's really benefited from that tournament. He has played great. He played great in that tournament. I know Kenny Smith of TNT gave him praise last Tuesday night. Of course, the ESPN crew gave him praise all throughout the tournament, the last two games. So we talked about Tyrese Halliburton, Lakina, a few times on this show. The Bulls could have had him, but chose to go the Patrick Williams route. I know Halliburton was on the Kings during that COVID year. Mm-hmm. And, of course, they traded him to Indiana. He's really exploded. Like I said before, like what I talked about with Kobe White last week, both those guys, I'm talking about Kobe White and Tyrese Halliburton, if they keep playing like this and their teams keep winning, both those guys should be considered for the Eastern Conference All-Star team in February in Indianapolis for the All-Star game. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we'll see how these teams look coming back. I mean, look, we'll see the Pacers can use this. I know Rick Carlisle has kind of had to adjust. There were like 9 or 10 teams that passed up on Halliburton, so it wasn't just the Bulls. So, it's definitely kind of like one of those steals of the draft, at least so far with the Pacers. Now let's talk about a very big schedule because they're making up for some of these games that they missed, on these days with the in-season tournament. Now, busy busy night tonight, I should say, multiple games. They're like 15 games on tap, just about.
Everybody's playing just about.
Yeah, just about. Miami and Charlotte, Indiana, they get right back into it. They play Detroit in Detroit, Cleveland and Orlando. Yeah, the Sixers hosting the Wizards. Denver, they continue their they start their the East Coast road trip, I should say, as they face Atlanta, Toronto, and the Knicks, and the Spurs and Houston, the Battle of Texas.
Finishing out tonight's schedule, Monday, Dallas is at Memphis. Minnesota is at New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. Utah is at OKC as the Jazz take on the Thunder. The Brooklyn Nets will visit Sacramento. And the Portland Trail Blazers will travel to Los Angeles to take on the LA Clippers.
On Tuesday, tomorrow, you got Cleveland and Boston. That should be a good one. The first game of the TNT Tuesday doubleheader, you got the Lakers, back at it after fresh off winning the NCAA tournament. They face Luka and the Mavs. The Bulls, they host the Nuggets. That should be interesting to see how they respond. We'll see.
Back-to-back action too.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one for them. But Golden State and Phoenix. We'll see if KD plays tomorrow. That's the second game of that TNT doubleheader, and Sacramento and the Clippers come in. Both they're both also playing a back-to-back as well at 9:30.
Yeah, we're no two teams last year, Lakina. I think they were now. I think the third highest scoring game in NBA history. Yep. Now that I think about it, yep, I was correct.
Yep.
And I did not need Google for that.
Yeah, and look at everyone but the Lakers are playing a back-to-back, so we'll see. Because obviously the Lakers are going to be the fresher team, coming back from that. So should be interesting games on both ends on TNT.
Yeah, go figure. And here's your schedule for Wednesday. For Wednesday night, 76ers will Philadelphia will travel to Detroit to take on the Pistons. Washington will host New Orleans. Charlotte will travel to South Beach to take on the Miami Heat. The Atlanta Hawks will play the Toronto Raptors. The Grizzlies and the Rockets will get it on. The Pacers and the Bucks at 7 o'clock. The Lakers and the Spurs will be the NBA TV game on Wednesday, as LeBron James will play Victor Wembanyama for, I believe, the first time in their they'll match up for the first time in their careers. Mm-hmm. And of course, you have the Brooklyn Nets visiting Phoenix to take on the Suns, and the Knicks will face the Jazz in Salt Lake City.
Ooh, should be some fun matchups there. And for Thursday, you got Cleveland, Boston. No, I'm not repeating myself. They play again for a second time in like 3 days on Thursday. That's going to be the first game on the NBA TV doubleheader. The Bulls, like I said, the Bulls got a busy week this week. They go to South Beach to play Miami in the first back-to-back game. We'll talk about that other one on Friday. Minnesota and Dallas, Brooklyn and Denver, Jazz and Portland, OKC and Sacramento. And the second game, the NBA TV doubleheader, should be a good one. You got the Warriors and the Clippers.
Yeah, the Clippers came back a week plus ago to beat the Warriors in LA. So the Warriors are looking for revenge this go-around.
Should be a fun matchup there. We'll definitely be checking that out. And that's your schedule for this week in the NBA.
All right, you're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, the hashtag of Bears Victory Monday edition. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. We got some college basketball to discuss. Lakina, Shohei Ohtani is staying in LA, and we'll have a special edition of Old School TV Monday. That and much more as you're listening to in live and in living color, Sports Zone Chicago.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class. These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on the hashtag Bears Victory Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Keena McGee on the Twitter, X, I can't scroll again, IG.
This is our last break for the show for today. So if you have any last minute questions or comments, you can always find us at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you.
All right, so let's do a little bit of college football to get it out the way. Of course, Army wins their third game in a row, I believe, against Navy. And a pretty interesting game there. But of course, Army also was the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, so congrats to them. Also, congrats to Jaden Daniels, who becomes the third LSU player to win the Heisman, following Billy Cannon and Joe Burrow, who did it just a few years ago, about 5 years ago. Do you agree with the decision? I know us and Christine, we all picked Michael Penix Jr. to win on Friday.
I didn't see this coming, but congratulations to Jaden Daniels. He did have a good year, but I thought that Michael Penix Jr., he played in more meaningful games, and Oregon was one of the top teams, and Bo Nix was was another top candidate for that Heisman Trophy. Michael Penix Jr. beat him twice, and that doesn't count for anything outside of his team getting into the college football playoff. I didn't understand it, but I'm not going to get too much upset about it. I'm sure Penix Jr. is going to use that as motivation to hopefully beat Texas in another month.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people were pushing for Daniels, and look, he had a great season. Had I think like 5,000 passing yards and 3,000 rushing, 2,000 or just under 3,000 rushing yards. But I kind of feel like he played against, I want to say bad competition, but he did that against not so good competition for the most part. But it's just made a couple of those games, so I kind of feel like they went by the numbers instead of perhaps maybe the the quality of opponents that you beat, because usually that's the case. And but I'm not gonna take away too much from him, and when he deserves it, okay, fine, whatever. But like I said, at least Penix, they're and Bo Nix and and Marvin Harrison, they're all playing in New Year's Six bowl games. So I think that kind of like they actually will have the last laugh in that front. But he has that award, so it is what it is. But now going back to that, did you get a chance to watch the Heisman race from 95, 98, I should say, or 97, I should say?
I did not. I have it on my DVR storage. I did not watch it yet. We will discuss on Friday.
All right.
Okay, if you want to have your little commentary, cool. But I'm just saying I'm gonna watch it and we'll discuss on Friday.
No. I'll wait till after you watch it. Just to be,
all right.
To
fair
be
enough.
Fair. Fair enough. But yeah, so that's your college football news. Of course, the first bowl games will be this weekend, so we'll talk more about that as well later on Friday. So but let's talk some college hoops. Actually, Northwestern, the rankings came out. Northwestern's now back in the top 25 for the first, I think it's 2019. They're number 25. So, Sid, what do you think? Do you think they deserve to be in the top 25? I know they had one loss, I think. I'm talking about Northwestern.
Yeah, Chris Collins and crew, they're doing a great job at Northwestern. I think, as we talked about before the season started, that program has never made it to the NCAA tournament in back-to-back years. We talked about the great year they had this year. I know they brought some of their key guys back. Boo Booey, no, that's the guy's name. Don't laugh. No, he's back again. So the pressure for Northwestern is how are they going to stack up against the tough competition in the Big Ten with the likes of Purdue and Illinois, who we'll get to in a second, and Michigan State, Indiana. So we'll see what happens when the Big Ten play starts. It starts very soon. So congrats to Chris Collins and Northwestern thus far. We'll see what they made of against tougher competition within their conference.
Actually, they've already started conference play, so some of them have already started it. I know that Illinois had a tough loss over the weekend. But look, I know Terrence Shannon Jr. has been playing, very well for Illinois, and look, it's going to be very interesting to see, especially once we get more and more into conference play, gets deeper and deeper into it, because this is going to get very interesting because, like I said, we'll start looking with Illinois. But yeah, Illinois, they've been, look, they had a tough loss against Tennessee over the weekend. They actually made it interesting late, because Tennessee were making their 3 free throws, but they did start making the free throws. Talking about the Vols, and of course, Illinois had a tough loss there. Illinois, another one of those teams that depends on they're a little bit too much for my taste. So
yeah, you're right about that.
And that killed them on Saturday against Tennessee. So yeah, that I'm just saying, but not to say that but
yeah, like so I think they're still going to have a good year, but and I'm putting Brad Underwood, the Illini head coach, on the hot seat, because with all that talent, they're better than what their record has shown over the last 2-3 years. But that game Saturday, I watched it live all the way from start to finish. And you mentioned Illinois, they were hot from 3-point range, especially early, but couple things. And I remember our girl, Caitlin Sharkey from WGN TV here in Chicago, she said this the last time she was on our program. The Illini reminds you of the Bulls. When they get it going, they look unstoppable, but they frustrate the hell out of you sometimes, especially defensively. Tennessee, especially with Connect, that kid Connect, he can shoot it from their big guy for Tennessee. He can shoot it from the outside, but he, along with their guards, they were Illinois was giving them free pass up the middle in the paint. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And number two, offensive rebounding. That killed Illinois last Saturday. We talked. How many times we talked about that last year, Lakina? Illinois gives up too many damn offensive rebounds. You talk about their 3-point shooting. When they make a few in a row, this is going to happen the whole game. When you miss like 10 in a row, you refuse to go to the basket. That's what happens. So my 2 takeaways for Illinois, I think they're still going to be a better team than last year, hopefully. But the 2 things that annoyed the hell out of me if you're Illinois, offensive rebounds and letting people go free and easy inside the paint. You're not going to win many games playing basketball with those 2 deficiencies.
Yeah, Dalton Knecht is probably one of he's kind of like Tyler Hansbrough in that way. He kind of he's kind of he'll give you fits. He can shoot the 3. He can shoot for. He's also the big guy on the inside too, and can annoy the hell out of you. So that's kind of how he's definitely a cold favorite down there in Knoxville. But yeah, I mean. Like I said, I mean, look, Illinois, they're only 9 for 36 from 3. Like I said, that really bothers me. And that's what we said that about multiple times last year. That was the thing that killed them last year was, the 3-point, or lack of 3-point shooting. So hopefully that's not the case when they start, to go back to Big Ten play. I think they got a nice win against Rutgers, who have been pretty good this year. But, for me, again, the inconsistency from the 3, that's really going to kill Illinois. Now, Arizona did hammer Wisconsin. Arizona is definitely clearly the number 1 team in the country. Of course, we talk about Caleb Love, of course, a North Carolina transfer, but also to Pele Larson, who is a big guy up front for them. 21 points, I think, like 13 boards he had in that win against Wisconsin. Just beat them pretty good by 25. KU beat Mizzou, the Fight My Burns, as we call her, in the border war. Houston, no trouble with Jackson State. Purdue beat Alabama, pulled away from them. Washington got their first big win in the last few years. Mike Hopkins, I actually watched this game, and to their credit, they needed this win desperately, beating Gonzaga in Seattle. And yeah, this was definitely a Washington team that they really needed that win. So it's a nice jumpstart for them, and kind of like a reemerge from that program. UConn, no trouble with Pine Bluff. Creighton, Marquette, they take care of business there. Texas, Colorado State got their first loss, against St. Mary's. Utah gave BYU their first loss. Kentucky against Penn. JMU undefeated. OU, beat Arkansas. I saw a little bit of this game too. A really solid, high-scoring game. Porter Moore's his guys playing pretty well. Duke beat Charlotte. Clemson beat TCU in the battle of unbeaten there, and San Diego State no trouble with. Well, they actually had a little bit of trouble with UC Irvine, but they actually were able to kind of made a big block that kind of killed that momentum there. So they were able to hold off the Anglers.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth about Porter Moser. I did check out a couple of minutes of that game before I took my nap because I was trying to get the Illinois loss out of my head. But yeah, he has his team, the Oklahoma Sooners, ranked this year. We'll see it. The Big 12 is tough, especially with TCU and, of course, Kansas with Bill Self and that whole crew down there in Lawrence, Kansas. So shout out to Porter Moser. I know he struggled last year because of his believe it was his first year coaching there. And so he has his team ranked this year. So we'll see what happens. But a couple of shout outs, Lakina. My guy, Penny Hardaway, the Memphis Tigers. I know his key player is out this year due to a gun charge. We won't get into that. But they upset Texas A&M yesterday, 81-75. And LeBron James' son, Bronny James, came back yesterday. He played a few minutes. He got a standing ovation, but the USC Trojans lost yesterday. But the most important thing was Bronny James was able to come back, looked good in a limited action, and hopefully that young man will stay healthy as he continues on his basketball career.
Colorado pounded Miami, I think like by 27 points. So yeah, nice win for Colorado. Look, Colorado played pretty well. So yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, Long Beach State's one of the favorites in I think they were in the Pacific West. They're one of the favorites in that conference. So yeah, that was a tough loss for USC. Michigan beat Iowa. I know you've been hammering home for Juwan Howard.
He needs a big bounce back. Yeah, I know he lost his big guy Dickinson to, I believe, Kansas.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Boston College and St. John's had a little good old Big East vibes from that matchup. Boston College got the win there. Fred Horvath's got his guys in Nebraska playing well. They beat Michigan State. What the heck's going on at Michigan State? 77-70. Michigan State goes down to 4-5 while Nebraska, I think one of the last was to Creighton, so no shame in that one. But Fred Horvath's got his guys playing pretty well too. I think they're like 1-0 in Big Ten play.
The mayor
finally starting to figure things out there. That's good to know. There, yeah, that's pretty much about it for the most part. I mean, Oklahoma State beat Tulsa, Wazoo, no trouble with Grambling. Hawaii beat Hawaii Pacific. So. Excuse me, that didn't come out right. Not too sorry about that, folks, but not too bad there. Now for this week, I mean, like I said, most of the top teams are taking finals. So most of these games are. I know Tennessee, they got a game against Georgia Southern tomorrow on SEC Network. Duke's got one against Hofstra tomorrow as well. That's on ESPN2, I believe. So some of these teams are just finishing up off non-conference action before they go back to Big Ten well, Austin Peay in Southern Illinois, they had a nice big win against Oklahoma State last week. We're talking about Southern Illinois. They're 5-2. They play Austin Peay State, fellow Missouri Valley Conference. So that should be a fun one. That's going to be on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Big Ten Network. Number 25 Northwestern will host Chicago State. The Cougars will get some TV time. Probably the last time they'll get any TV time. No personal disrespect to that school on the south side, but they'll take on the Northwestern Wildcats in Evanston.
Yeah, they're actually now going to the Northeast Conference now, so they're going to be a little bit closer. They don't have to go all the way out west to play their games. Actually, could stay on this side of the Missouri Valley. So, yeah, maybe that should help them kind of jumpstart those programs. Over there also to Florida Atlantic, who made to the Final Four last year. They host their rival Florida International on ESPN Plus. Yeah, that's about. Creighton has UNLV. That should be a fun one. CBS Sports Network. BYU hosts Denver. No, not the Broncos. It's the University of Denver, folks. Relax. And that's going to be on. Yeah, that's going to be on Big 12 ESPN Plus. They'll be streaming on that one. So yeah, like I said, most of the top teams are off this week because of finals. A lot of them are taking their finals. So yeah, like I said, some of these games, there might be a few games, like we talked about it, but yeah, I think Marquette plays like a team from Minnesota. So that's so most of the teams are off this week. They won't play again until Saturday, but yeah, those are some of the teams that are going to be playing this week.
Players going to school. Who knew?
What a concept, right? Yeah, what a novel concept. And that's just kind of for this week in the college hoops.
You're listening to Second City Sports, the Monday edition, right here on Sports Zone Chicago City. Lakina hanging out here with you. Before we get to Old School TV Monday, we'll give props to Shohei Ohtani. His team delivered the news in the early parts of Saturday afternoon or late Saturday morning if you're on the West Coast, as Shohei Ohtani and his team announced that Mr. Ohtani, as we thought on this show about a year or so ago, the LA Dodgers say, hey, we'll give you $700 million and we'll pay you $70 million per year. So Shohei Ohtani said yes, and he's now gets to stay in Los Angeles. But now he's going to play for Los Angeles' National League Ball Club, while the teams like the Cubs and Toronto, I said the Maple Leafs, good grief, or the Toronto Blue Jays are left at the doorstep.
Yeah, we kind of figured that this would be going to be the case. That we're going to be. We already predicted this like a year ago. We were probably one of everyone else probably said the same thing. $700 million. I know some people were saying, "Well, how the Dodgers are going to pay?" Look, Dodgers got the most lucrative streaming platform where they stream all their games, so that's why they're be able to make.
Yeah, with Spectrum Sportsnet. Yeah, with that 25-year contract. I know they're halfway through it right now, but look at all that money that they're getting from that network, from Time Warner, who owns that network. And plus, look at all the advertising they're going to get from the Asian community. I know the Angels benefited from that. They're going to benefit a whole lot more now since Shohei's with a bigger brand. And plus, most importantly, as a player, Shohei is going to compete in the playoffs and perhaps win a World Series or two.
Yeah, and they won't, and the Dodgers won't be jonesing for money either. They may try to get Tyler Glass now, because remember, Shohei's not gonna be able to pitch next year, so next season. So they're gonna need to fill that void there. They need pitching anyway, even without Shohei. So look, nice, look, he's getting his money. Not gonna belittle him for that.
Mm-hmm.
And look, the Cubs, look, they can try to see if they can get Cody Bellinger, because remember, the Yankees have a trade for Juan Soto, so I don't know if they'll have enough room to try to get Bellinger too. So. I don't know what was the numbers. Was it 500 million? They couldn't want to go beyond that. Who knows? But like I said, it won't be for a lack of trying. But hey, go for Shohei. And like I said, hopefully the Cubs can make some moves here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, does this open the door for the Chicago Cubs to, one, resign Cody Bellinger? Number two, they need a starting pitcher because Marcus Stroman opted out of his contract. And so the Cubs, in my opinion, they need a starting pitcher, perhaps two starting pitchers. And Cody Bellinger, you think you can't screw this up if you Jed Hoyer for Cody Bellinger to come back to your team.
Yeah, there are definitely a couple of guys. I know Chapman's name. Matt Chapman's name has been floating around there, perhaps for the club. I know the Glasnow stuff. I know that, but they don't want to trade Morel, so that might be a little bit of a damper there. We'll see if the Dodgers can. There have been some rumors about that over the weekend. So yeah, it's still a lot. I'm sure. Look, I'm sure this is going to be the only time that Craig Counsell signs. That going to be the only big pickup for the Cubs. I think they're going to make some moves. And look, they move in silence. Remember, we didn't know Counsell was going to go to the Cubs, so maybe he's going to do this. Maybe Jed Hoyer might have something else up his sleeve. Who knows?
And let's see if the Chicago White Sox, a.k.a. the South Side American League Ball Club, has something up their sleeves. Of course, they didn't trade Dylan Cease. The price is too high right now. You would think that Eloy Jimenez is the next guy to be moved. When is that? I don't know, but you believe that he will be the next guy to go. And they need to sign some more starting pitching, because right now your starters are as follows. With that kid that they signed last week, along with Michael Kopech and Dylan Cease.
That's all. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's all you got so far for the White Sox. Yeah, and so you're probably going to be able to trade Cease. Like I said, the price was way too high, especially at this point. So maybe Eloy. Maybe you're going to be stuck with Eloy for another at least half a season if you're the White Sox. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. But oh God, who knows with that? If you're Toronto, you're probably miffed because John Morrissey, of course, who does a great job with MLB Network, but unfortunately, I guess he made a boo boo early on Friday after our show ended. He said that show was going to go to Toronto, then he had to come back and say it was wrong. So. Not needless to say, Toronto people were not very happy with Mr. Morosi. So yeah, you got look, you were going to pay him $700 million, Toronto. So sorry, and you guys need some pitching. So let's so yeah, let's ease up on Mr. Morrissey there.
I will say about Mr. Morrissey. He did apologize for. He said he did get some bad information, but let's be honest here, Lakeem. If it was any other reporter, they would have tried to defend it and say, well, I stand by my information. Someone, this is what this group of people told me. Well, this was going to happen, but they would have made it some excuse. So, but something obviously must have changed, but I stand by my reporting and blah, blah, blah. But Mr. Morrissey, as you mentioned, he apologized for it, and I respect him more for it.
Yeah, actually, exactly. So look, he's became the bigger person. Like he took the L, and that's what you want to see if you're somebody. So yeah, absolutely. And then yeah, any other baseball news before we we go to Old School TV Monday?
All right, let's kick it over to this the special edition of Old School TV Monday.
A double dose.
A double dose.
A double dose.
All right, Lakina, let's kick it off.
All right, let's start with the music side. Of course, we got to. This is gonna be. This is well, actually, it was last month, but yeah, it's a 40th anniversary of the Michael Jackson classic Thriller that won 12 Grammys. Still one of the highest one of the highest selling albums of all time. It's actually now the most streaming. All the songs are the most streamed of all time with 1.1 billion. I said this billion streams on various platforms. There is actually a special going on right now on Showtime. So if you have Showtime, it's on YouTube. But if you have Showtime, it's on demand. So in case you missed it, it's all right there. Thriller 40. That's the name of it. And they talked about. It's really cool. They got all the engineers, all the producers, of course. Well, outside of Quincy Jones, obviously, who is like 90, and I know he's having some health issues. Issues at the moment, but that was really cool that they got a lot of the folks that they got the backup singers, the Walters siblings. They got like some of the various engineers and the instrumentalists who produced the album. Rob Templeton, of course, who was one of Quincy Jones's right hand guy who produced a lot of the top classic songs. Also Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. This was actually one of their first big projects. So it was actually really cool that they were able to kind of get that. And I think the one of the things that they were though, they got like the unreleased demos of some of those songs.
Mm-hmm.
And also behind. Well, and also too, like Michael Jackson really wanted to kind of prove to folks that he was more than just the little kid from the Jackson 5, and he kind of had that. Well,
yeah, and also too, after the success of that first album, Off the Wall, which people forget. I'm glad they told this story in their documentary that it had trouble getting on pop radio. It eventually did, but it had trouble in the beginning because, like you say, he was trying to. He loved his brothers, but he was trying to prove himself as a solo artist, obviously, which he went on and did. But Off the Wall, which was produced by Quincy Jones, had some classic songs off the album, but he was mad that he didn't win any Grammy Awards in 1981, following the release of that album. That's why he went in so hard with this Thriller album. But I'm glad they told the other couple of interesting stories that I kind of heard in passing. One was MTV. Remember his first video that was aired on MTV was not Thriller, but it was Billie Jean. You remember that song was released first before Thriller was, but he was with CBS Epic Records at the time, and I think they had the president on there. I forgot his name. He said he had he named the list of white artists that was on the roster at the time, including Billie Joe. He told MTV, if you don't air this Michael Jackson video, which was Billie Jean, all those artists that he mentioned in the documentary, he's like, I'm not going to play any more videos on your station. We're going to have a problem. And MTV caved in. And of course, Michael Jackson's video premiered on MTV with Billie Jean. Of course, Thriller. And this I didn't know. The record company didn't want to pay for it because that album was already selling. They didn't want to pay for the music video. So they shopped it around to MTV, and I forgot the other station, but I think MTV ended up paying for it to be aired as behind the scenes special. Of course, they showed the movie, and of course followed by the music video. So although those two things were interesting.
Yeah, Walter Yanikoff that's the guy you're referring to.
Yes.
Of course, he passed away a couple of years ago in August of 2021. And he basically said to MTV, he said, "Look, I'll pull the plug on y'all if y'all don't put Michael Jackson, not just Michael Jackson, two other black artists. I mean, you had Tina Turner, Lionel Richie was starting his solo career, and a couple of others, among others, and they weren't playing them. And good for David Bowie, God rest his soul too, for basically calling out MTV. Were like, well, wait a minute, what y'all doing? Why aren't y'all playing any black artists?" And Mark Goodman, who I know he regrets this now. If you ask, I'm sure he regrets this now. For saying, hey, look, I was just doing my job. That's basically what he was saying. He said I remember he said that's another interview they did a couple of years ago with him and Martha Quinn, Nina Blackwood. I forgot the other guy's name. Darn it, because I forgot the other guy's name, but one of the original MTV VJs, they just said, look, they were just doing what they were told. If they said if they had more of a say at the time, they probably would have played more black music. And I remember Stephen Daniels, who is a veteran music journalist, he said, look, you're a black artist until you're told otherwise. And for Michael Jackson, for a lot of folks, he was a black artist, off the wall, got shut out of the Grammys and the pop categories, especially. And you saw something, getting The Girl Is Mine, the first single to come off that was released off that album, with Paul McCartney. And that was, ingenious that, look, Paul McCartney was still a big, Beatles, Wings, it was still, the big white artist at the time. So that was actually very clever on Michael's part to get him to, collaborate with him on that first song from that album.
I know the song wasn't on Michael Jackson's Thriller album. It ended up on Paul McCartney's album. I know they did not mention it in the special, but remember Say, Say, Say?
Mm-hmm.
That was a great song, and
Yes.
and that was a great music video as well. Check it out on YouTube. That music video is very underrated.
Yeah, it is. It is very underrated, that music video. The song too is actually pretty underrated as well.
Yeah.
Now, for the Starting Something, the third song that came out of that album, what they did not say, a Barbarian pop singer. Well, Rihanna, of course, she took it and Don't Stop the Music. You showed some of the instrumentals from that, but Manu Dibango, who was a Cambodian-born singer, who actually released that song back in the early 70s, actually sued both Rihanna and MJ for using the copyrights to Mama Say Mama Sama Makusa. Of course, I'm sure they settled. I'm sure he's still getting out there, paying out the royalties from that. But yeah, that's what they did not mention the special yesterday over a little few weeks that it's come out. But yeah, that was the other thing they didn't mention. But yeah, that was a little something that kind of struck out to me. Like, oh, okay, so that whole thing, they got it from another artist. So like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I know Rihanna stole it from Michael Jackson, but I didn't know Michael Jackson stole it from the other artists. But another fun fact from that documentary, Lakina, I kind of knew this in certain parts, but you remember that Victory Tour in '84?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jackson didn't want to do it because he was on that Thriller kick, and of course the album was selling like hotcakes. And only because of his mother that he did that. Of course, they had a behind the scenes deal already wrapped up with Don King. His name was mentioned all over that when they brought up that Victory Tour in '84. But let's be honest here, Michael Jackson, if you saw some of those clips, he's like, I love my brothers, but I'm already on this solo tip. I did what I did with them. We should keep it there. But I'm doing this Thriller thing. I love them, but musically, we just don't match anymore. And so whenever they did those shows, he performed those old songs along with his Thriller stuff, his Thriller songs from that album. But if you notice with those crowds that came to see that show, they wanted to see Michael. They gave less than the Timber about the brothers. Oh yeah, we love you, but it ain't about y'all anymore. Y'all had y'all time.
Yeah, and I also remember Quaker Oats, they actually had a verbal agreement, with the Victory Tour, but of course Don King, of course, that they used Pepsi instead. Of course, we talked about this with Pepsi that happened in Kansas City, and of course his face got burned and all that. But yeah, look, it's, of course the album will win 12 Grammys and numerous AMAs, I think like 7 American Music Awards, also 2 VMAs, like 5 or 6 VMAs or something like that. So so the video Billie Jean, it definitely transcended a lot of those songs. It's still being played a lot through new generations and whatnot. So that's great to see.
Yep. And also, too, Michael Jackson changed the game, the way music videos were made. Because remember, those the early years of MTV, and music companies were very hesitant. I could understand at the time, what's this thing called a music video? Because there was not large budgets for those at that time. And you only saw a couple of music videos from certain artists of those certain albums at that time. But Michael Jackson changed the way those music videos were made. His music videos were not just about the songs. He did a whole feature film before the music kicked in.
Yeah, that was the media was still very young. So we talked about with the making of Thriller and and whatnot, and so that was actually really cool. That we got a chance to go behind the scenes of some of those unseen footage. So that was really cool. Now another TV legend who passed away over the weekend, maybe even like late last week, was Norman Lear, 101 years old. He worked until the end. Of course, he definitely literally shook the landscape of television from various shows. Of course, All in the Family, the Jeffersons, Good Times, He had he was a producer for Facts of Life for a little bit. Maud, who we dedicated to Old School TV Monday a few weeks ago, Sanford and Son, among many Mary Harmon, among many others, and definitely wasn't afraid to kind of shift the landscape of television. He talked about race and women's lib and all the other things that people were afraid to talk about back in the early 70s, the Vietnam War and whatnot. So definitely just sort of like just shook that landscape of television.
Let's not forget about Good Times and child abuse, where Janet Jackson was on that show back in 76, 77. Of course, the class issues within all communities, not just the Black community, but within all communities as well. Lakina, on the show, you heard this story about how Good Times got started. If you paid attention to the opening credits, the last name that popped up in the opening credits was developed by Norman Lear, but that show was the creation and the idea of two Black guys. I think both of them were from Chicago. One of them was Eric Monty. I forgot who the other guy's name was. Forgive me for not remembering. But they did get the credit. But Norman Lear got the idea, developed it, and put it on TV.
Yeah, I think he got. I did see his name. I forgot the other guy's name too. Is in the credits. So yeah, they did get some credit there for creating the show, even though Norman kind of developed and used his his name to kind of I'm sure they got royalties from that. But like I said, I mean, look, they look. I remember he said in the interview, he said, look, back in the '60s, the late '60s, people weren't really talking about some of the other stuff because people were avoiding some of the various topics like abortion and race and class and all that. Norman Lear said, "Look, let's make something happen here." And of course, it started with All in the Family and some of the various. We talked about some of the various movies and TV shows since. And look, I mean, this is going to be, of course, One Day at a Time. Another, hit show dealt with single parenthood. A single mom. Not a lot of people were talking about that during that time. So yeah, he was willing to kind of devote shows that folks, weren't afraid. I'm sure. At CBS, especially, I'm sure there were some times when they were like, they probably didn't like, wait, dude, what are you doing? But many Emmys and all the other stuff, these shows are all classics. You can stream them all on various platforms for the most part. So he definitely changed the landscape of television.
Yes, and remember, going back to All in the Family, remember before the first episode, they gave out a warning to, like what we call today a parental advisory warnings. They did that before the first episode of the very first episode of All in the Family, because like you mentioned, there was so much controversy going on at that time. And with the characters on that show, and like you said, it did change the landscape of television forever. And not to be afraid to be bold. And that's what Norman Lear did.
Yeah, seriously, you can do a lot of those kinds of shows nowadays. So when we know how folks,
it'll be so messed up because some people are so damn sensitive, and I get you got advertising dollars behind you, but people are already on edge, and people would have fumbled the bag like no one's business. I don't want to go off too long, but I'm not saying those shows couldn't be done today if it was done right, but there's too many people that are afraid, and unfortunately, it wouldn't, like you say, it wouldn't see the light of day, in my opinion.
Yeah, so we salute for both Old School TV Monday, both the late great Norman Lear and the Thriller 40 documentary you can stream on Showtime.
All right, Lakina, close us out.
You can follow Keenan McGee on the Twitter, X at Keenan again, the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80, SIDKID80. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps by going to the Google Play Store. Be sure to follow. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And give War Media a follow on all social media platforms at WARR Media. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, exclusively on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. Catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And also, too, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago anytime, anywhere on Roku TV. If you got the Roku TV, if you got the Roku app on your television, your smart television, on your phone, whatever device you got, you can just go to the whatever play store that you have on Roku TV or Roku, and just type in Sports Zone Chicago. You can catch our show, replays of our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, and What's Up, Cuz. I wonder. I know. I guess Jason's gonna be doing some multitasking since the Dolphins are gonna be playing when their show's on. So
yeah,
they're definitely gonna be doing some multitasking there. So you guys check them out as well. But of course, you can get it anytime, anywhere.
And we will provide.
All right, enjoy all the games coming up. We'll see if there's any big baseball news that comes down the pike as well, and a whole lot more. Enjoy this Bears Victory Monday. For Sid, I'm Kansas Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. We'll see you Friday.
Bear down, holla.